great and wonderful monarch Queen Elizabeth II did it frequently in the latter part of her very long reign. And it appears now that, in fact, this could be the new way of communication, particularly if you are His Majesty King Charles III, recuperating back at Sandringham after a terrible diagnosis. But really, would you want this? As ever, let me explain. Morning, how are you? Now being told off, by the way. Yes, I know I'm talking to you. You're telling me off. Apparently I've forgotten to wave. You know, I've got all of these stories stored up, and of course I'm ready to share them with you. And sometimes you know what it's like yourself. You're like me, aren't you? You've done that thing. You've put the remote control in the fridge and come back out and sat with a pat of butter, thinking that's a remote. You've done it. We've all done it. Let's have a wave. How are you? Nice to see you. Thank you so much. As ever, it's nice to have your company, genuinely. But it's true, isn't it? You know, your mind just gets clogged with so many things. It doesn't matter when you go out to the shops now. You've got to remember all the loyalty cards. If you can't have the loyalty card, you can't have the 5p off for the thing that's extravagantly priced. You know the thing I'm talking about, butter. I know, I need to get a second mortgage on butter over here in the United Kingdom at points. It's ridiculous, isn't it? People don't want to go on holiday now, they're just saving up to get a tub of Liliy pack. It's frightening. Back as ever to your royal story of the day. As I said, it's an interesting story, this, because it's a fascinating thing. As you know, the royals now communicate in many different ways. On a more serious note, the Prince and Princess of Wales have been using social media, YouTube, for some time as an effective tool for communication. Instagram, Snapchat, all of that sort of stuff. It proves that really the younger generation are in tune with the royals, and it's a great way of making that communication. Now, as we saw recently, Prince Harry returned back here to the United Kingdom for a very fleeting visit to see his father, His Majesty the King, after that terrible diagnosis, following 2 weeks, of course, of another problem that was dealt with, the prostrate, but apparently Harry didn't make anything public about that. Very quickly, of course, he flew over here. Lots of speculation about people suggesting it was to sign documents for the Mirror Group newspaper and the hacking court case. Let me tell you, that's truly not the case, because you can sign them digitally now, which I've been told is exactly what happened. So, you know, just debunk that story right now. What is interesting, though, is, as I told you, in that very fleeting visit, you know, obviously you might have thought at this particular point that Harry might want to cheer his father up, perhaps bring at least one of his children back here to the United Kingdom. You know, the invisible children that allegedly were snapped at Windsor for a birthday party. Yes, we're still waiting for confirmation, as I've said many times before. But no, that wasn't the case. But apparently Harry, and as ever we have to say allegedly, did impart this wonderful piece of bon mot to His Majesty the King, that if he wanted, you know, he could Zoom the children, Zoom chat, Zoom call, whatever you want to call it, the kids. So, you know, literally Archie and Liliy could wave to the grandfather that they truly have no idea about, don't know who he is, maybe a complete stranger, and vice versa. Now, when you think about this, you know, on a more serious note, why on earth would His Majesty the King want to risk that level of security? Can you imagine whatever was said, even if it was just a nice general sort of chit-chat to children, would and could be replicated all over the world? Frightening to think. As you can imagine, this was shut down with, that won't be necessary. I've been told from an excellent point. And this is the point where Harry and Meghan truly think that they have their sort of cards all on their table. You know, if that's the best you can offer your father, who's going through a very difficult time, perhaps a little visit from a little one might have done a lot to raise his spirits. But seemingly, even now, at this crucial point, allegedly, the only thing they can offer is the digital world. Talk about living in the digital world. Seemingly, this is where Harry and Meghan are. Neil Sean, Kensington, London.